Eye on Kat Greer wearing number 9 right in the middle of the pitch. Maggie Hanusek, also number 25 on the right side playing forward. And our lineups today brought to you by First Bank and Trust as we are underway. South Alabama wearing the red and the white. Appalachian State wearing the all white with the black trim here this morning. One meeting, of course, this fall. South Alabama did beat App State 1-0 in that contest. So App State accomplished a lot this year, but have not been able to take down the Jaguars of South Alabama. This is a great opportunity here today.
Yeah, and the key is what we talked about in the pregame, is just about settling in. This is a huge rivalry, obviously a lot closer than they have in the past, with South Alabama being a dominant force in this conference. But 4-5, as we said, and App State healthier than ever, getting a lot of returning players back from injury, just a competitive team. So now it'll be about settling in, who can manage the emotions, get their feet under them, and start to play their style of soccer.
Godfrey comes up, makes her presence felt along that back line for South Alabama. Jaguars coming in as fit as they have ever been here in 2018. Morgan Cross, nice touch that time. Deflected away as Ellie Kane comes up to play it for the Jaguars. And just as we have gotten closer to kickoff here, Lori, the wind has picked up significantly here in Foley. It would not be a Sunbelt Women's Soccer Championship without the wind, right?
Last year, it was like 100-mile-an-hour winds, it felt like. And that's why it's going to be even more important for both of these teams, though, to feel out their opponent. I think the wind will favor App State. So it's going to be important for South Alabama to get the ball down on the ground. They like to play attractive style of soccer. They like to connect, keep possession.
Saw Justice Stanford, the goalie for the Jaguars. Great story from a season ago out of the Colony, Texas. She's a junior this year. She was unstoppable a season ago in this championship. See how she fares this year with the Jaguars 7-9-1 coming in. Newwald tries to switch the point of attack. Tough for that ball to get there, but it does get across. And they'll play it from the far side. This is Emily Cowie, senior out of Davidson, North Carolina. And again, played all the way to Stanford. Morgan Cross going down. And our first foul of the game called. Morgan Cross, number 11. She is a Scottish star, only 17 years old. Really done some great things on the Scottish international scene. Of course, when your head coach is from Scotland, Richard Moody, that's where you get some of those great Scottish players.
And those international players just give these teams a different look, obviously entrenched with soccer culture over in Europe. And as you mentioned, Moody, him being Scottish himself, then you like to find players over in Europe that play the style of soccer that you want to play, and mix it with some of the American mentality of run and gun, and also the technical and tactical ability that we have here as well.
Ball across the touchline. Cameron Leister, junior from Birmingham, will toss it in for South. South Alabama comes in reeling just a little bit as they lost 1-0 to Troy. And their regular season finale, the Trojans with only 5 wins this season. They come in the number 8 seed. We'll see them in our next game as they take on Texas State. Kristen Brown on the throw-in now for App. App State inside the 18. Sent out quickly, though, by Ellie Kane. I think the players adjusting right now a little bit to this wind as it continues to howl here in Foley. Good turn in the midfield as Masha tries to get ahead of the pack, and again cut down by App State's back line. That was Emily Cowie, and now Newwald attacks. Hannah Godfrey, this one goes out and should be a goal kick for South Alabama. So Hannah Godfrey there, number 25 for South Alabama. We saw her last year, Lori, absolutely dominant. She's had a lot on her plate, though, in 2018, hasn't she?
Well, you're 100% correct. She's the only senior on this team. They lost so many quality players from that championship team last year. And to her credit, she's done a remarkable job in terms of leading this team. But it is big shoes to fill in terms of being the lone senior, the only leader really on this team. They're starting more freshmen than they ever have in this program at once. So credit to her for being able to take on not only the leadership role, but also still try to play her style of soccer and like to get her game to the next level as well.
Player down inside the center circle, and that's Kristen Brown, who will get up slowly.
Yeah, and early on, it just looks like those two players collide there in the midfield. It is tight in the midfield. The width will be a key for this game, especially with this wind. Getting it out wide, see if they can attack, find that space in the width. There'll be much more room out there for both of these teams.
Ball be sent in. That was a line drive with the wind at its back, and that ball was screaming right in the hands of Stanford.
And that's an area that South Alabama talked about that they want to be mindful of. They know App State is extremely good quality on the set pieces. Can serve in a great ball. Kat Greer there, number 9 in the midfield for App State. So they need to be mindful, not allowing to give away just silly free kicks. But to your point early on about the wind, this is a bit of a slower game than I expected these first 15 minutes, especially from App State, wanting to high press, wanting to get after teams in terms of their pressure and their counterattacking ability. But the wind is a factor right now. Both teams just feeling out the other, settling into the game. We did talk about emotions being high, especially for both of these teams being a big rivalry. And the first game, it's unusual to play a game at 10 a.m. in the morning, Drew.
South Alabama struggling to advance it here early as Jess Easley tries to take care of it. App State will clear it momentarily. Yeah, 10 a.m. game. Certainly not the ideal time. But right now, would you say, Lori, with that wind howling, it's going right to left right now on your screen. So a big advantage for Appalachian State here in this first half. Remember, they'll switch sides at intermission. So at the moment, Mountaineers have got a distinct advantage. They got to take advantage of it.
Yep, and the key for them will be is as soon as they win it, they do like to counterattack, but it's going to be mindful about the balls they play, because if they're just launching balls, they're going to fly away, they're going to float with that wind. So can they play a little textured ball in behind, play to feet initially, get numbers up?
So Olivia Wilkes goes to the corner, first corner of the match for South Alabama. Wilkes, only a freshman out of England, and one of the unsung heroes on this South Alabama side. Another corner kick. Set pieces, something that both teams really want to emphasize coming in. South Alabama wants to shore their set pieces up. They lost to Troy off of a set piece. In an area that Coach Moody knows his team has been vulnerable in the past. This ball serviced in by Wilkes, right in front of the goal, headed up, and the Mountaineers able to keep it out. Nearly the first goal of the match. And now hands in the back, and we should have a foul. Question is, did it happen inside the box, or will they say it was outside the 18? And I believe it's going to be just outside that line.
Yep, and this is a good look early on by South Alabama. A little creative play there on the corner kick to get this one free. Launches a good ball in that allows for a free header, but good defending by App State to clear that one off the line.
So Wilkes now on the set piece for the Jaguars, applying their first bit of pressure on Appalachian State. Just underway. Jaguars and Mountaineers from Foley. Another pretty good ball. This ball headed out. Our official will stop play momentarily. Let's spot this ball down once again and wait for the go-ahead. Wilkes, one of those players who does all the little things. This would be a big thing here early in this match if the Jaguars can get on the scoreboard. Morgan Cross going down that time, and Appalachian State able to avoid danger. Momentarily is on the ground is Taylor Ray. She'll jump on it at just the right time because Cross was coming quick. Taylor Ray, redshirt junior goalie out of Indian Trail, North Carolina.
And I like this start by South Alabama. It's exactly what we talked to Coach Moody about. Is they want to play a attacking, attractive style of soccer, get the ball down, possess when they can, and they're doing a good job of that, just weathering the storm whenever App State is looking to counterattack. They're winning the balls, connecting their first, second passes, and then they've won a couple of good free kicks, a corner kick and then a set piece. They've been pretty dangerous this early on.
So Mountaineers survive about a 2-minute sequence where South Alabama was able to put tons of pressure on their side, and now throwing it in is Jamie Palermo.
And that's what's exciting about conference play, though. It's a whole new season. Doesn't really matter as long as you get into the tournament. Doesn't matter what the record was before. It's anyone's game, so it's just about taking control and taking your chances.
Ball sent in the box quickly. Both teams getting some really good looks right now. Kristen Brown tries to let one loose. Now this one kind of towed, and it's just over the goal as Maggie Hanusek gave it a little poke, and that win did the rest.
And just like that, we can see how the tides can change between these two teams. It was South Alabama for the past 5 minutes, and then a quick turnaround, and as you mentioned, Maggie Hanusek with the half chance there, just over the crossbar, but a good look, and that's exactly what App State wants, is just opportunistic, quick chances, quick counterattacks when they can.
Had a feeling that coming into this match, this could be our most exciting one of the day. And it has not let down yet, about 13 minutes in. Emily Cowie, senior from Davidson, North Carolina, throwing it in. Remember App State last year, Lori? I mean, Coach Sarah Strickland was absolutely devastated. This team had so many injuries from top to bottom. Kat Greer, their superstar, was not on the field in the first round for the Mountaineers, and they really came in limping into this tournament. Jaguars took care of them in the first round. They remember that. This year they are rejuvenated, and they're back to 100%.
Yeah, healthier than they have been in a very long time. You mentioned Kat Greer. She has been such a spark for them, getting them back, and her quality of play in the midfield for App State. But you're right, limping into the tournament was a good way to put it, in this conference tournament. They were just really scraping by to get anything or any sort of result.
Here's Oman. She'll take a blast from the right side, and Moa Oman, the freshman out of Sweden, with a quality touch there, just fires it over the goal. And we'll have our first substitution as Amber Anderson, sophomore from Indian Trail, will replace Blair Andrus. So Anderson coming in that forward spot. She's got 2 goals on the year off the bench. Mountaineers on the season scored 26 goals. South Alabama notching only 20. Offense certainly down for the Jaguars, not what they're used to, but they really feel like their best soccer is in front of them.
And anytime you're playing this many freshmen and starting this many freshmen when you weren't exactly expecting it, and they're getting experience throughout the season, they're starting to get more comfortable with this style of play, with the competitiveness of the conference, you absolutely hope and know that your best soccer is ahead of you each and every game, with them getting a little bit more experience, getting comfortable, as I mentioned. And then with the leadership of Hannah Godfrey back there as well, you just start to learn how to close out games, how to win games, especially in conference play.
Nice touch that time by Masha as Oman was running towards it. You can tell App State taking a few chances here, and Jaguars trying to get those quick counters in, and those have been effective here so far. Cameron Leister now will take care of this set piece for South Alabama. Actually, it'll be a throw-in on the near side. Anderson knocking it down, and now Kat Greer sending it far. Hanusek trying to catch up to it, and it's Mountaineer ball.
And that's a good ball out wide by Kat Greer to open up some space. We talked about the width being the most important in this game. It is tight in the midfield, lots of numbers. So as soon as they can spray the ball, the key though will be just to be patient, attack as quick as they can, but getting numbers forward. South Alabama does a good job of dropping their players in, getting numbers behind the ball themselves. So if App State wants to be successful, they got to commit numbers forward, and they got to commit them quickly.
Emily Cowie now sending one in. Ball looked like it was tipped just a bit. Stanford, though, on top of it again for South Alabama. It was so imperative, Lori, for Appalachian State to get off to a good start, because they don't want to have that mindset. Here we go again, another South Alabama romp here in Foley, and I think they've gotten off to a pretty good start.
I would agree, and we just saw the pressure to win that ball back quickly. South Alabama wants to play out of the back. We talked about them wanting to keep possession and then counter or attack quickly when they can, but it's more of a possession style game compared to App State, who's a bit more direct, more aggressive, but it's that pressure that App State applies to their opposing teams that causes issues. And Coach Moody for South Alabama did mention that. He knew that could be an issue. If they start to get into kind of a run and gun battle, it was going to be a long day for them.
Casey Ransone comes in, number 14 for Appalachian State. Molly Newwald heads to the bench. So Coach Strickland now has gone to her bench twice here early in this contest. Take a look at this great game of soccer, this beautiful game, Lori. Do you like coaches at the collegiate level who go to their bench quickly, early and often? Or are you more sort of old school, go to the bench in that 65th minute, let everybody kind of wear themselves out and get the most out of that starting 11 that you can?
Well, that's what makes the college game so unique, is the ability to make substitutions early on in the game when needed. And if you're going with your starting lineup and something's not going well tactically or technically with a player, then you have the ability to make those changes, which is exciting and keeps the game moving. So I think early on, you want to win these games. I mean, you have potentially 3 games in 5 days, 3 games in 6 days. So why not start to go to your bench? You can see some areas early on where you can exploit the other team, especially up top when you have the ability to make those changes with some of your attacking players, give them some rest, get some firepower going. And with a team like App State, who likes to press, who likes to run and gun, you got to make those changes, because it's difficult to keep up that consistency with that hard work and that pace for a full 90 minutes.
You said it, though. That is what makes the collegiate game so unique and so much fun to watch, especially here in the Sun Belt. Here's Ransone now attacking. Fresh legs off the bench, and she'll get a corner kick now for Appalachian State.
And we're starting to see App State come alive. Kat Greer in the midfield is getting on the ball. She's starting to spray balls around, using the width, getting players 1v1 on the width, taking players on. It's resulting in the corner kicks. And we haven't mentioned it much, but App State is so crucial. They're so good on these set pieces, and especially with Kat Greer's ability to serve a ball in.
Kat Greer so good on corner kicks. The in-swinger here, ball kind of dies in the air with that wind playing with it. Mountaineers come back, try and send one in, and Stanford again in the right place, right time. Well, Sarah Strickland, talk about the power of positive thinking. That's what I think of whenever we talk to Coach Sarah Strickland. I don't think there's any coach, Lori, that loves her program and her players like Coach Strickland. That passion, too, comes through in her team every time they take the field.
I know. I loved her comment about when we asked what has been the highlight of the season, and she said she would have a number of highlights on the field, but she said if you ask your players, probably go into the lake in preseason and be able to sunbathe and hang out. I thought that was love that answer.
Yeah, it doesn't always put success in terms of wins and losses. Says it's about a lot more. Kat Greer with a great strike, and Stanford there to knock it down. Best opportunity so far for App State.
This is the best opportunity, and we've talked about Kat Greer these last few minutes. She's starting to get on the ball, find some space in that midfield, taking players on 1v1, and we know she can strike a ball from distance. It's a good look because it's going to force that South Alabama team to step up defensively, and then if she doesn't take a shot, she'll be able to slip balls through and behind to some of her attackers.
Mountaineers now starting to really hold possession midway through this first half. Palermo now back and forth with Dawson. Ava Dawson had it taken away, and a good job by Brenna McPartland, the freshman mid. Jaguars trying that quick counter the other way, as they have so many times so far in this match. And Brianna Masha has it poked away and will throw it in on the far side.
And that's quality defense by Jessica Easley there, number 7 for App State in the back, just to separate that ball. Masha was off and running for South Alabama. It could have been a quality look on goal.
Helena Shelderoop heads in. Ellie Kane goes out for the Jaguars. Ball inside the box now. Jaguars attacking with Masha again. And South Alabama will have their 3rd corner kick here of the morning. But just when you think one team's gonna kind of seize the momentum, the other team comes back, counters quickly. Jaguars have been that team. As Wilkes now is the outswinger with the wind howling the other way. Ball sent on. Appalachian State clears it quickly.
And I like South Alabama's ability to try different things, be creative on their set pieces, because they know the aerial battle is an area that they potentially can't win against App State. They're so good in the air. They're so good on set pieces, whether it's offense or defending them. And so the creative ability to find different ways to pull App State out defensively hasn't resulted in a goal, but it is forcing App State to be very tight, be mindful defensively, and make sure they're not giving anything easy away.
Both teams now substituting freely. Tess Kearney comes in for the first time, number 17, sophomore from Wilmington, North Carolina. She has really developed in this Mountaineer attack. Kristen Brown, 22, going to the bench. Drew Felios, Lori Lindsay, and our amazing crew with you this week here in Foley, Alabama. Foley Sports Tourism Complex. Sunbelt Women's Soccer Championships. Great time of year. Happy Halloween. October coming to a close. And November and postseason NCAA soccer is here. Ransone and Appalachian State. Now Jamie Palermo. She is marked well, but beating the defender with her legs and able to force another corner kick.
And once again, we're seeing that width. And Palermo and App State having success on that width. There's not as many numbers out there. They're getting singled out 1v1, which is good, and they're winning these corner kicks.
Kat Greer, this is where she's at her best. Good ball this time, and had the hook in, was a little bit high, and it is so easy with the wind howling, Lori, for that ball to just curve in. No one even has to touch it, and it can find its spot in the corner of the net.
And this is where App State is going to need to pay attention to how the wind is. They're starting to take corner kicks, they're getting more set pieces, they're getting better of the play, and now it's going to be taking advantage of that and being just more critical, more clinical in that final third, because there's about 20 minutes left to go in this first half, and they have the wind at their backs. And with their style of play, this wind is going to be beneficial for them, but they need to take advantage of it Don't give anything away. And so if Kat Greer is going to be able to send a good ball in, she needs to know that she needs to drive that low and hard in and don't let the wind take it and lose the advantage of a crucial set piece.
So what you're saying is make sure that ball gets played. Do not put it on top of the goal, because let your teammates and let the wind take care of it, right?
Well, with App State's ability to be so good on set pieces, and Coach Moody and South Alabama knowing that, they need to take advantage of those. And if they're just playing balls in per usual, but they're flying out of bounds due to the wind, then they need to make some adjustments. And a player like Kat Greer, who's been so good and just quality player for App State.
Good ball here. Jaguars attacking with Masha. He's had some opportunities here in the first half and deflected again. And we'll do a corner for the 4th time for South Alabama. Brianna Masha right there out of Stony Creek, Ontario, Canada. Just under 20 minutes to play in this first half. Olivia Wilkes has been busy on corner kicks. This young lady does all the little things for South Alabama here in 2018. This ball cut down by the wind, and now Ransone and App State playing forward. Are you surprised? Does it seem like, Lori, that the Mountaineers are playing up a little bit further than perhaps we thought? Because it seems like Jaguars are trying to hit them quickly on those counters, and it's been effective.
It has been effective, but it's been their ability for South Alabama, the Jaguars, to be able to get the ball down and connect and play a little through ball. But App State's defense is doing a good job. We can see where they can be exposed defensively. Their back line being pulled out a little bit, but individual defense, they've done well to keep anything out of danger. But we knew that App State was going to come out. They're going to press, especially with the wind at their backs. Why not commit players forward? It's difficult to play any balls over the top with the win against the South Alabama team.
Mary Perkins coming in, replacing Maggie Handusek for Appalachian State. So Perkins, the sophomore from Huntersville, North Carolina, seeing her first action. And also Brianna Morris coming in for the Jaguars. It's Brianna for Brianna. Morris comes in for Masha, number 9 for South. So 14 for 9 on the red side. Justice Stanford, just unbeatable and unbreakable a season ago here in Foley. Molly Newwald and Appalachian State trying to change things. Morgan Cross also there. Cameron Leister, the junior from Birmingham, big part of the Jaguars attack. South Alabama going through the usual preseason gauntlet, getting ready for Sun Belt play by taking on LSU, Alabama, Mississippi State, a good side this year in Starkville, Ole Miss, and then, yeah, we'll just suit up, play Florida State as well. That's what makes South Alabama soccer what they are. Take on the very best, and they are certainly ready to play every single postseason. Palermo heads it forward. Now Ransone. Kearney now finding feet. Alexa Asher. Jess Easley with the touch. We'll end there though. Jaguars now will push it forward quickly. Brianna Morris off the bench, fresh legs, trying to beat the defender, slows things up, trying to get a shot on. Lets it rip, and it is just to the left. Great idea by Morse.
And this is a good half chance by Morris, just using her speed to get in between those two center backs. But again, it's Jessica Easley, number 7 for App State, coming up big, making it difficult and turning that into a little half chance, not letting Morris get a good look. But that's where South Alabama can be dangerous, is when Oman pops into that midfield, in between that midfield line and that back line for App State. Just that little half space, gets on the turn and then slips balls through. And that's where they found some success early on in this first half.
Also shows you, Lori, South Alabama, even though they got 7 wins, they're a 5 seed, they have got talent off the bench. You look at Morris, impressive player, checking in a moment ago, and she's got great speed, great skill as well. Jaguars have got tons of talent in the cupboard. And Richard Moody, their head coach, doing a great job with the program in his 2nd season. You know, last night, they spent the night at the SEC tournament down the road watching competition there. He says, I'm just a soccer junkie. And you were like, Coach, come on, it's late. Your girl's got to go to bed. He said, no way. We're watching as much soccer as we can, getting mentally ready to take care of our business tomorrow.
And I remember having that same conversation with him last year. He took his team to the SEC tournament as well. And just enjoyed watching the athleticism of that and the competitiveness of that conference just down the road from us here in Foley.
Cowie now, marked tightly by Green. Cowie trying to shake through, and there's Stanford knocking it down once more. Were you surprised, Lori, when we talked to Coach Moody? He seemed very much at ease. You would think a coach that won this tournament last year in his 1st season with the Jaguars, this year coming in a 5 seed, a little bit of a down year. I think he'd be a little bit uptight and just sound like a coach that has dealt with a season full of unmet expectations, but that wasn't really the case.
I actually wasn't surprised. It's what I was more excited about is to hear his team with only 1 senior, not a ton of leadership, but tons of freshmen starting, getting a lot of playing time. And to see that this team has bought in and that they, to bounce back after winning and to lose so many quality players and then finish number 5 with the ability to win this thing this year as well. And so it wasn't surprising. You can see how well he's done. I mean, self-proclaimed soccer junkie, as he mentioned, and just getting his team to enjoy the game, enjoy it, finding ways. And he even said to us how he feels like his team plays the best soccer in this conference. Doesn't mean they always win games, but they play attractive style and they're always kind of pushing those limits. So I wasn't surprised to hear that. In fact, I feel like it's probably a little bit like there's less pressure coming into last year. There's a lot of pressure for him to win, especially with the players that they had.
Audrey Duran coming in for South Alabama. Audrey wearing number 17 in red, and Elizabeth Neblett, number 28, redshirt freshman out of Clemens, North Carolina, in for the first time for App State. Foley Sports Tourism Complex has become the really, really great home of this event. Sunbelt Women's Soccer Championships. The city has grown exponentially just over the past few years. Here comes Morris now, and she is offsides. The flag goes up. Morris thought that she had played that one perfectly, and she is such a dangerous presence out there. Did not realize how fast she was to the ball.
Well, she's a quality substitution for the South Alabama team because she can push the line with her speed. They have a little bit more variety in the attack than they did early on in this first half, which is more just playing to feed or playing a few little slip balls. But now they can start to play over the top and she can get on them. She just needs to be mindful of that line for App State and staying onside.
Ball taken away now. And a helmet for the Jaguars. Duran touches for the first time. And again, trying to get 14 on it. It's Morris. Flag stays down. Morris causing App State some trouble right now. They have really got to be wary. Mills now from the left side. Approaching, shooting, knocked down by Ray. South Alabama starting to get some quality chances. This one's on the ground, and Ray is on top of it.
Well, as you mentioned, it's South Alabama. The tides are turning in terms of them starting to get more chances, and it's all because of that substitute. Number 14, Morris, just giving them a different look, being able to use her speed to get in behind. But if we haven't said it enough, number 7 easily for App State, coming up huge defensively. A fantastic individual performance so far in this first half, just keeping App State in this game, because South Alabama's starting to get some of the better chances. We're seeing App State have the possession, starting to put South Alabama under pressure in terms of their defensive pressure, but really it's South Alabama that's starting to create those chances, finding some little seams to exploit that App State defense.
Jaguars trying to get another ball through. And then down the middle right now, that's the spot that is open with Morris. And the Jaguars are exploiting that. So if you're coaching this game right now, Lori, do you want to coach the team that has possession most of the time, or the one that is coming back and countering and getting quality chance after chance?
Oh, well, I think it just depends on who's executing their game plan the best. I mean, both of those can work.
Mills servicing this one in a collision. Taylor Ray just outside the 6. And you saw Audrey Duran collide with her that time.
And this is a good ball served in from out wide for South Alabama, but as you mentioned it, Ray doing a good job of just continuing to hold on to this. Ray comes out, is brave, does a fantastic job not giving up any sort of rebound. South Alabama players right there to poke one home if she had.
So Audrey Duran, yellow card here in the 35th minute. First player booked here this morning. Do you think that warranted a card, a collision with the keeper on a sort of a 50-50 ball that time? A little debatable, huh?
No, I agree with that call. You want to keep the game tight, make sure you're not letting anything start to get out of hand. It is conference play. Teams know that they need to win these games, and you want to protect your goalkeeper, allow her to be able to come out, get a good chance of making those saves and holding on to the ball, and just, again, it's just about protecting the player. So I agree with that call.
Emily Cowie now getting the Mountaineers organized. Here's Mary Perkins. Perkins with it. Left-footed slide, and Ransone is offsides for App State. Well, one big thing for the App State Mountaineers today was maintaining their emotion throughout the match. Coach Strickland said there are going to be moments where South Alabama is going to put us in awe a little bit. They've got that kind of talent. We know how good they are. Cannot get rattled. We've got to stick to the game plan and do what we do, and eventually we'll come out on top.
Well, it goes back to what we were talking about a moment ago when you asked which team would I rather coach, a counterattacking style team or a team with possession. It's really about sticking to the game plan that, as Coach Strickland mentioned to us when we spoke with her last night, but it's really about, again, execution. Both of these teams getting quality chances. We're seeing Kat Greer here get on the ball, have some room to run at players in this South Alabama defense. But again, it's about finishing your chances, both coming up, being successful in their own right. And pretty even match, which we expect between the 4 and 5 seed coming into this tournament. But it is about who's going to execute and, again, manage their emotions, and also find and continue to find where the space is. Every time App State gets the ball, they're having success out wide. Every time South Alabama has, they're finding space in between that back line and midfield line for App State. So can they continue to find their players and get on the half turn and start running at the App State's defense?
Brenna McPartland trying to send this one down. And Abby Mills that time offside for South Alabama. There's Jess Easley. Player you talked about, Lori, having just a great first half. What about her play has really stood out to you? Because not much has happened on the offensive side for her, but she's been a one-man wrecking crew for the Mountaineers on defense, hasn't she? Yeah,
she does a great job of just covering players. If we're seeing Morris come off the bench for South Alabama.
Now it's Perkins turning, left-footed blast, and Stanford there to cover once again.
And this is another good look by App State. They are finding that you'll see their pressure, applying pressure, get the ball coughed up, and then they're starting to run at that midfield. That's when they're having success in there and getting the long-range shots. Nothing that's really testing Stanford. But again, eventually it's going to draw out that South Alabama defense, and they're going to be able to find some success in behind instead of taking only the long-range shots, be able to mix up and have variety in their attack more than they have this first half.
Jaguars now possessing. Shelter up with a good touch to get it started. Audrey Duran trying to flick it back. Helmer marked tightly as well.
But in regards to Easley, I think a lot of her play just goes unnoticed because it's so simple. She just does her job. She covers for her other defenders, make sure nothing gets behind. If a ball is slipped in, she's there to cover. Always great positioning, and that's what you want from a defender, is a player that goes unnoticed, but she just does her job and makes everyone around her better.
Still waiting for our first goal here in Foley. Drew Felios with Lori Lindsay, first of 4 games today here on ESPN+. Got Troy, Texas State coming up after this one. Audrey Duran gives this one a ride. Bounces right in front of the keeper and now stays alive. Jaguars playing it through and scoring! Abby Mills. Little second effort paying off, and it's 1-0 to the defending champions on top for the first time.
And again, it's Morris putting Ray under pressure, the goalkeeper. She hesitated a bit to come off her line, which cost him because it allowed Morris to get on that open ball and then play a great ball across the 6-yard box for Mills to fire home. I think if Ray would have been more aggressive, hadn't hesitated, she could have come and picked that ball off, or at least punched it away, and not giving Morris the opportunity to stay on that and create an opportunity, and that eventually resulted in a goal. But credit to South Alabama. These last 15-20 minutes, it really has been all of them in terms of opportunities, creating opportunities in that final third.
So a 39th minute goal for Abby Mills, and Morris and Mills off the bench have just gotten busy for South Alabama. Audrey Duran towards the goalie again. Taylor Ray will pick it up, and that's also a case on that last play, Lori. If you are Taylor Ray, got to kill that ball. You cannot let them have one more shot because they will make you pay.
Well, that hesitation for her to come out just bought Morris a bit more time to get on that ball and be able to bring it down, and it forced Ray to retreat, get back into her goal, but she didn't have enough time once that ball was slotted across the 6-yard box. But these are the areas where App State needs to be careful, though, because we're already starting to see their back line start to get a little out of shape. We mentioned how great Easley's been, but she's dropping while some other players are stepping, so they're starting to find some gaps, and Morris and Mills, as you mentioned, are using their speed, finding some gaps in that back line, and App State just needs to make sure they stay tight, connected as a unit back there.
Now it's Easley sending one in, the header, a little bit off point. Good idea though for App State.
Well, this ball had some pace on it for the win. Just a bit too high there for any of the players to get on it. Just too high, had to retreat. Couldn't get a good look. And all those free kicks for App State, we've talked about how good and how quality they've been throughout this season. But those are the moments when you're with this win, you have 5 minutes left to go in this half, you got to start to think about different ways that you can put South Alabama under pressure.
Mountaineers have certainly had some opportunities here in the first half, and ones that they've perhaps let get away. Here's this first session, winds down. Jaguars with the 1-0 lead. South Alabama trying to get another shot on point. This one will certainly put Ray on notice, but sail over the crossbar.
And we saw how the wind can affect a free kick on the other end, and then how the wind can create a more difficult chance for Ray in goal here than it should have. It just gets caught up in the air, wind holds it up, but Ray is there to cover it, make sure it doesn't find the back of the net.
Godfrey quietly sends this one back. And now if you are App State, you've got 2 minutes here to make something happen before heading to intermission. Mountaineers play this one from the left side, and that an offside. Flag went up quickly.
And there's still so much time to play. I mean, we have under 2 minutes left to go in this first half and a whole nother second half. But one thing that we haven't talked about, Drew, as much is even though South Alabama only has one senior, there is a culture, there is an understanding of how to win games from the past players that when you come in. So these freshmen, these players that are inexperienced at this level are still coming in with an understanding, though, of what it takes to win games. And if they didn't understand coming in, they learn quickly, right? And that's why we're seeing a South Alabama team that maybe hasn't had the best season, or you can call it a rebuilding year. But at the same time, they're finding themselves up against App State in this first half 1-0 due to that rich culture of a winning mentality in this program.
1 minute remaining.
1 minute remaining here in the first half. Ransone, a good touch for App State. Mountaineers trying to work quickly here. Perkins watches it skate by. And South Alabama looking very organized defensively. Helmert and McPartland putting it in motion for Abby Mills. So the goal by Abby Mills in the 39th minute, the difference right now. Jaguars trying to make it 2-0, and they will do just that. Anna Helmer. That is why they're the champs.
Well, and this is a massive goal going in to halftime, up 2-0. This is a fantastic touch right there. Number 16, just a good first touch. It looks like it's going to get caught underneath her feet, but she does a good job of getting that out in front of her, and it allows her to play with the outside of her foot right past Ray. Again, it's more so feeding her that ball, having such an impact off the bench, and giving the South Alabama such a different look in this latter part of this first half.
Now that certainly was a deflator if you're App State. Abby Cormier trying to catch up to that one. Will wind the first half down from Foley.
3, 2, 1.
So App State had their moments in the first half, but South Alabama shows why. This is Foley, and this is our territory.
Yeah, and South Alabama doing such a good job of using the wind to their advantage, keeping possession, and then playing slip balls through and picking and choosing their times. But it was really Brianna Morris, number 14, coming off the bench that was the difference maker for South Alabama that second part of this first half.
Abby Mills, the goal for South Alabama. Anna Helmer added one late as well. Morris, the great assist on the second goal. And the first goal is